Happening now, WSCT's Caitlin Stansel is live on the scene of breaking news where a huge fire is spreading in some woods in Brunswick County. A lot of you have been sending us pictures and video all afternoon. Caitlin, we've learned this fire is not part of a controlled burn and people have actually been evacuated, right?
That's right, Fran. We're live here off of Mount Misery Road. This is about as close as officials are letting us get right now. You can see they've kind of set up a command post right down here across from the Barrington neighborhood. Heirloom Drive, we know, has been evacuated at this point, as well as Butler Road. We saw officials going door to door telling people that they need to get out of their homes in case this fire spreads. We just talked to officials with the North Carolina Forestry Service, and they said 190 acres are being burned right now in this fire. No word on a cause, and they haven't even had time to investigate just yet because they are actively working the scene. We've been out here watching helicopters fly straight over our heads, carrying large buckets of water. They're taking it to this wooded area over here, dropping it on the flames. We know that homes were being threatened right now. One source on scene says at least 2 or 3 homes have been damaged by the fire. Officials have not confirmed that just yet. We're still working to learn more details about that. But again, evacuations are happening right now along neighborhoods here off of Mount Misery Road. We know North Brunswick High School has been opened up for those evacuees. They can head over there and get assistance if they need it. But we're going to have more coming up here on WCT News, the very latest details. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much. Be sure to follow Caitlin on Twitter and Facebook. She's constantly posting new details there, as well as our WSCT Facebook page. We'll have continuing coverage on the fire coming up on WSCT News at 5:30.
Breaking news updates. Now, many of you have called, emailed, messaged our newsroom today asking about that huge plume of smoke in Brunswick County. Here's what we know about that story that is still developing. Let me show you where this is happening first. Dozens of families have had to evacuate because of this woods fire. They're in the Heirloom Drive or Butler Road areas of Leland. That's behind the Compass Point community off Highway 7476. WECT's Caitlin Stansel has been on the scene this afternoon. She's live now. Caitlin, are things improving at all from when you first arrived?
You know, John, the smoke is somewhat dissipated since we got out here about 3:30, but we know 190 acres are actively burning right now. The Forestry Service, they are working to build lines around this fire, calm down those flames, but at this point they say it is not actively under control. They're still working it. They haven't even had time to really investigate what started this fire, but it was not a controlled burn. They say they got the call earlier this afternoon that flames were showing. Homes were being threatened. They've evacuated several areas here. We know Heirloom Drive, Butler Road, homes on those roads have both been evacuated. They've opened up North Brunswick High School for those evacuees to head over to. But we have video of those flames threatening some of the homes in this area. We're right off of Mount Misery Road. They've pushed us pretty far back, and they're trying to keep this area contained right now. They're directing traffic around Barrington, that neighborhood here. But what they say is that they are bringing in equipment from at least 6 counties right now. There are at least 3 helicopters that keep flying overhead. We're hoping to catch one during this live shot right now. But they're carrying big buckets of water, dropping them on the flames. They also have planes up that are scouting this area, letting crews know where the flames are heading. They've been having to battle not just the flames, though, but the wind as well. It's been shifting and blowing the flames throughout this area. But again, we are still working to learn more information. One source here on scene told us that at least 2 or 3 homes did have some fire damage. We haven't confirmed that with officials just yet, but this is a developing situation and we're going to have more coming up here. But we did talk to residents who had to evacuate their home.
Everything I want to save that's really important to me, I've got sitting at the door right now. So I'm ready to go. You know, my animals, and I'll be ready to go. I don't want to go, but if you have to go, you have to go.
We did see a mass evacuation bus. They are heading on scene here as well. And again, they're directing traffic off of Mount Misery Road, so when rush hour really peaks, they are getting people who are heading into this area, making sure to tell them that if they live on Heirloom Drive, Butler Road, that those areas are on standby. They've been evacuated, and to head out of this area right now, but the smoke has dissipated at this point. We're going to have more coming up on WCT News at 6, and continue to follow me on Twitter and Facebook. We'll have the latest updates there. Back to you guys.
All right, Caitlin, be careful along that roadway too in Brunswick County. So you want to stay away from those areas in Brunswick County that Caitlin is talking about. and we'll have new details as we get them from that scene. People in several neighborhoods have had to leave their homes tonight, evacuated because of a fire burning in their neighborhoods.
We begin tonight with continuing coverage of breaking news we first brought you at 5 o'clock. The fire is off Mount Misery Road near Heirloom Drive in Brunswick County. North Brunswick High School is open at this time for those who've had to evacuate. WSCT's Caitlin Stansel is live on the scene of that fire. Caitlin, what are the latest developments now?
Well, here's what we know right now. We just talked to forestry officials who said within the hour they are expecting to be able to let people back into their homes here off of Heirloom Drive and Butler Road as well. They say they have now built a line around this fire, and they've increased the acreage. They say that now that they expect that it has burned more than 475 acres here in Brunswick County. We know that this is just off of Mount Misery Road. This is where we've been live from all afternoon. And again, Butler Road and Heirloom Drive were originally evacuated, but they say within the hour they're planning on letting people back in once they can get some of these fire trucks and stuff out of this area. They have set up an evacuation zone at North Brunswick High School, though, for evacuees to go to. They also have a mass evacuation bus here off of Heirloom Drive. And we talked to residents when they first initially set those evacuation orders about being worried about getting everything that they want to save out of their homes in time.
All my family's down there, and they said it's going to evacuate the whole area. We got to go to North Brunswick High School. I don't know where the fire is, but I just got to work.
This is still a very active scene. You can see right here, many crews in Brunswick County are still in this area, and they have not saying that this fire is contained just yet, but again, they have been able to build a line around it and somewhat be able to withhold those flames from threatening any other homes. We know one source on scene says 2 or 3 homes were damaged by those flames. We haven't confirmed that with officials just yet, but they said there is some damage in this area. We're still waiting to find out the latest developments because this is an active scene. They haven't even had time to investigate how this fire started, when exactly it started, or even where, because they have just been trying to make sure they can keep it contained. The smoke, though, has dissipated a great amount since we originally got here on scene about 3:30. So we're going to have those latest details on our website, WECT.com. But for now, back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks, Caitlin.
Being forced out by a raging fire.
It's not out, but crews have contained it after it charred 500 acres of land and some homes near Leland. News at 10 reporter Caitlin Stansel live right now with the very latest. Caitlin.
The scene was much more dramatic just a few hours ago. Helicopters dropping water from the air on the flames as they encroached upon homes here off of Heirloom Drive in Leland. Tonight, families finally able to get back inside their homes, some of them coming home to the damage left behind. You can see this one home, the vinyl siding just melted away. And fire officials say that this fire is contained right now, but they're going to be watching it throughout the night. Situation that could have turned out a lot worse.
There weren't any huge problems. You know, they didn't throw us some real big curveballs like it could have. I mean, if it had come up to the housing development, 30 minutes earlier, then yeah, it would have been ugly.
That's how officials are describing a fire that swept through 500 acres of woods in Leland.
They were hitting hot spots and where there was, right near the houses and whatnot, they can get pinpoint accurate.
Helicopters worked from above as tractors dug out fire lines to contain the flames.
Aircraft can slow a fire down, but until you get lines on it, that's what's going to put the fire out.
Even before officials called for evacuations off Butler Road, some families were already preparing for the worst. Did they tell you guys to pack up and get out?
It's more important to get the family and the pets, get all them out of the house, and that's all we were thinking.
Evacuations have since been lifted, families returning to their homes tonight, some of them finding damage left behind by the blaze. The Forestry Service will stay on scene watching for hot spots and trying to figure out just what sparked these flames.
We've removed all of the organic material, the grasses, the leaves that can burn and carry a fire.
Not only working against the fire, but battling the wind as well.
With the wind changing direction so much, it kept pushing the fire in different directions, so it kept shifting. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but this is fire season and that's what we're used to.
While the threat's now over with the fire contained, officials are sending out a warning to residents to be cautious this fire season.
In with the green grass, there's still a lot of dry brown grass from the winter, And unfortunately, that's what's going to carry your fire. So if you are going to burn, we'd ask you to be cautious, have a garden hose out there, and stay with it while you're burning.
We talked with officials with the American Red Cross. They say they're assisting one family tonight, helping them find somewhere to stay. Again, at least 3 homes damaged here, and while the outside looks pretty bad, most of them was from the smoke that was just filling the air here in Leland. Many of you are sending us in pictures and videos of the big plume of smoke. You could see it from miles away. But what we know right now is that they are not sure about where this started, even how it started. At the time, they didn't even have time to investigate. They'll be out here again in the morning to really look into that cause.
New video tonight into our newsroom. Flames from a raging woods fire taller than the trees near a water treatment plant in Leland.
Now that fire, the video here, forced dozens of families out of their homes, threatening neighborhoods as it chewed up hundreds of acres of land. It's still smoldering tonight in some areas along Heirloom Drive and Butler Road. WECT's Caitlin Stansel live from that area of Leland. Caitlin, what's the situation tonight as we speak?
Well, John, you mentioned some of those areas were still smoldering, and behind us, we've been keeping an eye on this area just behind Heirloom Drive. We've seen a few areas flare up again, but officials say you don't need to be too concerned right now because those flames are still contained within the fire lines that the Forestry Service was able to draw around this 500-acre burn area in Brunswick County. We know at least 3 homes were damaged, including this one here off of Heirloom Drive. The vinyl siding just melted off by the heat. The next steps now are figuring out what caused this fire. A situation that could have turned out a lot worse.
There weren't any huge problems. You know, they didn't throw us some real big curveballs like it could have. I mean, if it had come up to the housing development, 30 minutes earlier, then yeah, it would have been ugly.
That's how officials are describing a fire that swept through 500 acres of woods in Leland.
They were hitting hot spots and where there was, right near the houses and whatnot, they can get pinpoint accurate.
Helicopters worked from above as tractors dug out fire lines to contain the flames.
Aircraft can slow a fire down, but until you get lines on it, that's what's going to put the fire out.
Even before officials called for evacuations off Butler Road, some families were already preparing for the worst.
It's more important to get the family and the pets, get all them out of the house, and that's all we were thinking.
Evacuations have since been lifted, families returning to their homes tonight, some of them finding damage left behind by the blaze. The Forestry Service will stay on scene watching for hot spots and trying to figure out just what sparked these flames.
We've removed all of the organic material, the grasses, the leaves that can burn and carry a fire.
Not only working against the fire, but battling the wind as well.
With the wind changing direction so much, it kept pushing the fire in different directions, so it kept shifting. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but this is fire season and that's what we're used to.
While the threat's now over with the fire contained, officials are sending out a warning to residents to be cautious this fire season.
In with the green grass, there's still a lot of dry brown grass from the winter, and unfortunately that's what's going to carry your fire. So if you are going to burn, we'd ask you to be cautious, have a garden hose out there, and stay with it while you're burning.
And John and Fran, the smell of smoke is still very apparent here in Brunswick County at this hour. Even though the fire is contained, officials with the Forestry Service say they will have somebody on hand throughout the night to just make sure there's a presence here in this area in case there are any flare-ups that get outside of those fire lines.